In the first Pipette preview video, we saw how the Pipette Workbench is central to working with your scientific data. In this video, we're going to take a more detailed look at some of the features and how it can help with your science. All of the services we're going to take a look at today are just examples. In your real application, you'll use services that connect to your electronic lab notebooks, inventory systems, compound databases, and much more. The examples today are going to be very chemistry focused, but I'll explore some other data types in a later preview. We'll start by looking at the example from last time, getting all compounds for a project and calculating some properties. I start by adding a pipeline pilot service at the top of the stack. I then add subsequent steps, each one performing a calculation on the data above it. I can page through the data for each step, and I can enlarge structure images for a better view of them. The first thing we saw is how simple the interface was to the Get Project Compound service. Contrast this to other systems where they may need to run a search to find all compounds registered against their project, then a second search to find all compounds that have undergone a project-specific assay, and then finally merging both of these sets. By having the service set up by an expert who understands the data model, we avoid mistakes and save time for the scientist. As we built our stack, the system was recommending services based on our behaviour in the past. Let's take a look at that again. With no input data, the system is suggesting services that have been used at the start of the stack in the past. Then it suggests services it knows I've used with my project data in the past. I often find it tricky to remember the exact name of a service I used a few weeks ago, so having the system remind me what I've used in this context in the past is really valuable. Often we find ourselves having to backtrack when we miss a step in our analysis. Here I forgot to strip salts before I started to calculate the properties. With Pipette I can add the step to the end, move it to where it's needed, and then all subsequent steps will be recalculated. An alternative would have been to move the services bar to the location where the strip salt service was needed and add it directly. On the services bar you always have the sort, filter and remove rename services one click away. These services understand the properties, types and ranges on your data to ensure these common operations are as simple as possible. Often we want to trace a particular item through the stack. You can do this by clicking on any value that's unique, and then you'll see the first item that has that unique value in each step. Once we have some data we wish to save for later, we can either grab the full data set or we can grab a single data record. And the data pool can also be used to perform simple set-based operations, including copy, merge, and add. As we saw in the first preview video, adding data files to the pool is very simple. Now I'm going to create a substructure I'm going to use for some searches. I do this by creating a new data store, sending it into the sketcher, picking one of the starting materials the sketcher offers me, and saving it. Any of the data we have in the data pool can be used at the start of the stack. Here the compound in the first dataset is used as a substructure search against all of the compounds in the second dataset. The system is fully aware of changes to the data pool that occur outside of the workbench. This means if I modify my substructure back in the sketcher, the workbench will spot this and rerun the stack. We've made our service to get the project compound smart too. Here you can see I add the substructure ahead of the Get Project Compound service, and then it's used to filter the compounds returned. Inputs to the stack support tagging. By default we use the name of the dataset. This is useful when we want to be able to differentiate datasets in downstream applications such as the charting app. A good example of this is structure enumeration. So to start, I'm going to draw a scaffold. And I already have a dataset with fragments that I wish to attach to the different R groups. When I use them in the inputs, I just tag them with the names of the R groups and add my enumerate service. I can then take the results of my enumeration and export it to SD file, push it into the charting app or anywhere else I wish it to go. As you can see, the Pipette Workbench makes it easy for scientists to work with their data. If you'd like to try Pipette with your services and data, then please get in touch and we can give you more details about our upcoming beta.